Hi everyone, are you ready to bake with me? Today we're making cinnamon baked churros. They are so delicious and so fun to make. They will become a favorite for many, many years. Don't forget that in your kit you have your big tip here that's going to help you pipe out the churros and your decorating bags. And then to make it fun, you have these stickers in here so you can decorate your cups to actually hold your churros. How fun is that? You ready to get started? So to start making our churros, it starts in a saucepan and then we do move to a baking sheet. You want to have a medium-high heat. Make sure you're with your parents. You're going to take 1 cup of water. This makes a choux dough, which is things you do to make eclairs, yummy things like that, cream puffs. And then you're going to open up 1 stick of butter and put that in there. It's going to start to melt. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, gives it some flavor, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And we're just going to let that cook until the butter is melted. The best tool to use to do this is a whisk, especially when you add in the flour. So just keep stirring, looking over. Always keep your saucepan handle to the side, never in front of you, and just keep stirring until the butter is completely melted. Your butter is melted. What you're going to do is you're going to add in your 1 cup of flour, and with a whisk, you're just going to whisk it in. It's going to make a sticky dough. Just keep stirring. You do have to keep stirring. Go ahead and hold the handle of the saucepan. And once it makes the dough, then we're going to set this aside. Take it off the heat and we're going to set it aside because we need to beat up our eggs. Okay, now we need to beat our eggs. So we're going to crack our eggs. Go ahead and carefully crack the eggs. If you get a shell in there, pick it out. We're going to beat the eggs really, really well before we actually add it into the choux dough. Make sure you clean your hands after you crack eggs. Now we're going to beat this up. I usually use a fork. It makes it a little bit easier. Get it nice and beaten. Then we're going to put our pan back on the stove, but in a very low heat, and we're going to slowly add the eggs as we stir. So now what we're going to do is just add the eggs a little bit at a time. And the reason I say that is we want kind of a thick dough, but we don't want it too thin. And depending on the size of the egg that you use, we want to make sure it's not too sticky. So we're going to add the eggs, stir a little bit. Just kind of see how the dough is. Sometimes it gets stuck on the whisk, so you do have to pound it a little bit. So keep stirring. So I can see that this dough is a little too thick to pipe. So I'm going to add a little bit more egg. It's looking good though. This is about almost to how you want it. I'm going to add a little bit more egg. I'm probably going to add the whole thing. And what happens is the eggs cook and expand, and it helps the dough increase in size. And then what happens is when it bakes or when you fry them, it actually expands the dough again. So we're just going to keep mixing until we get a nice thick dough. Make sure you get your parents' help because we don't want you getting too close to the flame and having your parents there. The next part is the funnest part because that's when you get to pipe Now's the fun part. So take a piping bag. It's best to do this with a glass. Go ahead and put that in there. Then take your large piping tip and pop it in so it looks like that. Then fold it over like a little sleeve. And then take some of your dough, not all of it, because you want to be able to pipe it out without it being too thick. Put a little and bring it up. Take a rubber band and rubber band it around. And you're going to make mini churros. So you're just going to pipe and lift up. And then pipe about 4 inches long. It's getting a little stuck, which means it's a good dough. And then when you've got enough, then go ahead and open it back up and then keep repeating till you have all of your dough. Have all of your dough on your pan, take a little bit of water and just sprinkle a little bit on top. What it does is when it hits the oven and the heat, it actually helps it expand. Not too much water, just enough to kind of soak it a little bit. This is going to go into a preheated oven at 400 degrees. Now the trick here is that you bake it for 20 minutes. Then you turn the oven off and let it sit in the oven for another 10 minutes so it gets that crustiness on the outside that everyone loves. And then we're going to put it into cinnamon sugar and roll it. Perfect for a treat. So our churros are done. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna coat them with cinnamon sugar. So take your sugar and cinnamon, mix it together, put it in a bowl, and then take a churro, dip it in there, and kind of coat it a little bit. And then with your stickers, you can make little churro cups and just go ahead and lift it up and put it in your little cup. You can just do lots of little cups for all the different people that you're going to serve it to. So just dunk it in. This makes a really nice snack. If you're not gonna eat them right away, you can put them in a Ziploc bag or cover them with foil. But to keep them moist, you want to keep them covered. And there you have delicious mini churros.